The IS-2 is Russia's late-war heavy tank that spearheaded their drive across Germany. The Battlefront IS-2 mould is from 2015, and it's now available as a box set for late-war Soviets. Join me for a look. This is the IS-2 Guards Heavy Tank Company box set for Flames of War. This box set has been released as part of the Soviet Bagration forces for late war. The appearance of heavier German tanks prompted Soviet designers to create a new heavy tank design to replace the aging KV series. Initially, the new design mounted an 85mm gun. However, this gun also armed the new T-34-85, so a 122mm gun was adopted. Only a few of the 85mm armed tanks termed the IS-85 or later the IS-1 were built. Many IS-85s were retrofitted with the bigger gun before they even left the factory. The 122mm gun version called the IS-2 became the main wartime production variant. Initially, the IS-2 had a stepped cast hull, but the 1944 production tanks replaced this with a simpler sloped front shape. Despite being 10 tons lighter, IS-2 had slightly better armour than a Tiger tank. Crew was 4 men: the driver, gunner, loader and commander. The commander or loader could fire the DT machine gun mounted in a barbette on the turret rear. The 122mm main gun had a very long barrel that overhung the hull significantly. Ammunition was 2-part and bulky, which slowed loading. But the IS-2's main task was as a breakthrough tank, and it fired a HE shell that was very effective against infantry and fortifications. IS-2 spearheaded the Soviet drive into Germany in 1944 and 45. During the production run, the design was continually improved. The model 1944 included the updated hull as well as a wider mantlet, a gun travel lock and an AA machine gun. Despite being a successful design, it was replaced by the IS-3. The IS-3 arrived just too late to see service before Germany surrendered. However, it did feature prominently in the Victory Parade in Berlin, astounding Western observers. So let's look at the plastic. Each IS-2 comes on 2 sprues of dark green plastic. One has the upper hull's turret and guns, while the other has the track's lower hull and detail pieces. There are 2 hull options available. This one with the stepped front is the earlier casting similar to a KV hull. This is for the IS-85 or early production IS-2s. The gun travel lock was added later, so probably shouldn't be on this early hull, but not a big issue. The other hull has the later sloped front. Both hulls have good engine deck and grille detail. There are 2 gun mantlets provided. The narrow mantlet is for the IS-85s and early IS-2s, while the wider mantlet was introduced during the 1944 production run. The upper turret piece has some hatch and vent detail, and the infantry handholds are moulded as solid pieces. These would be just too fragile if moulded open. The other pieces here are the turret peg and the rear DT machine gun barbette. The barbette has keying to mount it the right way up when gluing it to the turret. The gun with the muzzle brake is the 122mm gun of the IS-2. The other is the 85mm gun. You get 2 commander's hatch options, one open and the other closed. The tracks are single-piece parts. There is some good tread detail on the visible areas, but the lower part of the tracks are plain. This is on areas you normally wouldn't see during play. There's some nice rib detail on the road wheels, and there is realistic track sag over the return rollers. The lower hull piece is keyed so you can't fit the tracks on the wrong way. This sprue also includes some stowage boxes, a selection of external fuel drums, AA machine guns and spare track. There are 2 machine guns in case you break one. The machine guns were added during the 1944 production, so more likely to be fitted with the later sloped hull IS-2s. So those are the kit parts. You get some nice options, spare guns and stowage included. Although this is one of the earlier plastic kits from Battlefront, it still holds up and builds into a great looking kit. There's extensive use of keying on the parts to make it hard to assemble this incorrectly. And assembly is simple and straightforward. There's no multi-part hull assembly or anything required here, so you can knock them together quickly and easily. This really is a great kit of an iconic tank for the game. Speaking of the game, how does the Bagration release IS-2 perform on the tabletop in Flames of War? IS-2 is a tank unit. There aren't any other special rules for it here. Motivation is Confident 4+, but they get 3+ for counterattack and last stand ratings. Soviets are ready to stick with the fight. These are veteran troops, so their skill is a 3+. However, they're still rated as aggressive, so their base to hit number is still 3+. They will push forward in an attack, even if it leaves them a bit exposed to return fire. Front armour is a stonking 10, one more than a Tiger tank. Side and top armour are the same as a Tiger, at 8 and 2 respectively. The IS-2 can take a lot of punishment. Mobility is roughly the same as Tiger as well, with a 10-inch or 25-centimetre tactical move. Terrain dash is 12 inches or 30 centimetres, cross-country is 18 inches or 45 centimetres, and road dash is 20 inches or 50 centimetres. Cross is a 3+, making it slightly less likely to negotiate difficult terrain than the Tiger's 2+. If we look at the gun stats, the 122mm gun has a 28-inch or 70 centimetre range. This is far shorter than the Tiger's 40 inches, so you'll be looking to close rapidly, use terrain or attack from ambush if you could. The slow loading of the 2-part ammunition is reflected in the rate of fire. Both moving and halted has a rate of fire 1, with the slow firing rule adding a +1 to hit if firing on the move. Anti-tank is 14 with a 2+ firepower. It has the same penetration as the Tiger's 88, and the bigger 122mm shell packs more of a wallop. I've already mentioned slow firing giving a penalty for IS-2 firing on the move. The other special rule is brutal, with a big HE shell forcing infantry and gun teams to re-roll successful saves. The other stat lines are for the machine guns. The AA machine gun has a 20-inch or 50-centimetre range, moving rate of fire 2 and halted of 3, with anti-tank 4 and 5+ firepower. It has the self-defense AA rule, so this gun can fire at aircraft attacking it. The DT machine guns have a 16-inch or 40-centimetre range, moving and halted rate of fire of 1, AT2 and 6 firepower. There's no mention of any rules for the rear turret DT machine gun. It's all just folded into the single machine gun rating. Those are some pretty impressive stats. The IS-2 stacks up against the Tiger with slightly better front armour and a comparable gun with superior firepower. The significant difference is in the ranges of the main gun. The Tiger outranges IS-2 by a long margin. Soviet players won't want long-range gunnery duels. You will need to get in close, using smoke or terrain to conceal you until you can engage effectively. The brutal rating also means IS-2s are great at digging out infantry and guns. After all, their main role was infantry support. So how can you field them? Here are the Soviet Bagration lists on forces of war. There's an IS-2 Guards Heavy Tank Regiment and an IS-85 Guards Heavy Tank Regiment. Interestingly, IS-85s cost more points than the IS-2. The IS-85 gets a higher halted rate of fire than the 122mm armed tank and loses the slow firing rule for firing on the move. This might be a good option if you have a mobile playstyle. But if we look at the IS-2, you get 3 tanks for 22 points, 4 for 30 points and 5 for 37 points. That's just under 7.5 points per tank. You can take up to 4 companies of up to 5 tanks plus a HQ tank. That's 155 points all up, so this is only useful in big games. IS-2s are also the HQ for the Heavy SP Artillery Regiment list, with a single IS-2 HQ tank. If you run other formations, you can still access the IS-2 as a support choice. Both IS-2 and IS-85 companies are available as formation support choices. So that's the IS-2 for Soviet forces in late war Flames of War. Despite being a 2015 kit, the plastic IS-2 builds up nicely and has adequate detail and some good options. Having both hulls and 2 armament options makes this a versatile kit. Assembly is very quick and straightforward. You can put these together quickly. There are plenty of high anti-tank options in late war, so IS-2s can get hit and killed, but it's nice to have an allied nation with a tank that rivals the German Tiger. I haven't played Soviets yet, but these IS-2s and IS-85s will be built for an upcoming tournament. I'm switching over from my British army to a Soviet list, so wish me luck. I'll let you know how I get on.